Some moderate Democrats admit they're getting very worried by progressive antics that may cost them the Virginia governor seat. Former Virginia governor and current Senator Mark Warner, actually that's both of them, says getting anything done on things like infrastructure, quote, would have been nice. Instead, the party is still fighting itself. So if Democrats lose in Virginia tonight, is this a rebuff of the progressive push in Washington? And if so, what do the Dems run on next? Joining me to discuss, he is the anchor of Fox News Sunday, the one and only Chris Wallace. Welcome to the show, Chris. Great to have you. What an
Good
exciting
to be with
night.
you, Kennedy.
So Tim Kaine and Mark Warner, both former governors, both current senators from Virginia, they're very upset. They've been very vocal about it. What does not having an infrastructure win do for this race?
Oh, it definitely hurts Terry McAuliffe. I'm not sure that he's going to win or lose because of it. But, you know, it's the whole issue of what's happened in Washington. One, Joe Biden, the fact that he's at 42 or 43% approval in Virginia as opposed to 52 or 53%. He'd be in a very different position, McAuliffe would, if he was basking in the glow of a popular president. And then it's really, I don't know that it's moderate or progressive. It's just gridlock in Washington. The fact that you've got a governing Democratic majority, very slim majorities, but they could pass legislation. And they've had this bipartisan bill that passed with 19 Republican senators back in August, and they've just been sitting on it. And you know, if that had gone through and Biden, even with all of his problems in Afghanistan and the border and inflation and all of that, if he had been able to say, look, we have this majority, we've delivered these things, this in fact was bipartisan, the infrastructure bill, but instead they got nothing. And that's certainly, I don't know that it's going to be the key factor, but it certainly isn't helping Terry McAuliffe.
Okay, so where do the Democrats go from here if McAuliffe does in fact lose? How does it alter their playbook for the midterms coming up next year?
They got to get something done. I mean, you know, in the end, it's not just a sort of that we have a headline and that we're able to say he passed something. It's that people see things in their daily lives. If, let's say, they passed infrastructure and people get hired for some of these jobs, if they pass the social spending bill and suddenly you have child care or free pre-K. I don't even know how fast these things can go into implementation. But if you know, in a state like Virginia, or in any state where Democrats are running and they've got this razor-thin majority in both the House and the Senate, you know, they've got to have something that they can point to and say, you brought us in, you gave us the majority, and we accomplished this, and your life is better because of it. They really can't say that about very much right now, and that is an absolute prescription for people saying, well, let's try the other side. Let's give it to the Republicans.
Has the education issue been a gift to Republicans, especially if Youngkin does pull this off, if he does win? And if so, how do Republicans capitalize on that moving forward? Because, you know, traditionally, that has not been at the top of their list.
It's not only not been on the top of any list, but generally speaking, education, those kinds of issues favor Democrats, not Republicans. I think you could conceivably, I think regardless of whether Youngkin wins or not, the fact that he's made such a race of this in a state, listen to this statistic. A Republican has not won statewide office in Virginia, governor, lieutenant governor, or attorney general since 2009. For all this talk about, well, it's purple. No, in statewide races, this has become a Democratic state. And regardless of whether he wins or not, the fact that we're going to be sitting up late and into the night, education has been a big issue, and it's been a big issue, Kennedy, in precisely the area that Republicans need help the most, the suburbs.
Yes.
They are bleeding support in the suburbs, especially among suburban women. And if people come to see the Democrats and race curriculum in schools and, you know, transgender rights in schools and things like that, if they begin, and you know, the self-inflicted wound of Terry McAuliffe in that debate when he said parents shouldn't be telling schools what to teach, if that is seen as the mantra of the Democratic Party, the suburbs really come back into play for Republicans.
Yeah, that's poking Mama Bear. Not the smartest thing to do. It is a big race, and we've got several other across the country. We'll be following all of it. Chris Wallace, thank you so much for watching on Sunday.
Thank you.